Good day, family. My name's Eugene Mitchell. We're here today to just have a little chat. We're a podcast. It's called See, Here's the Thing. And what we want to do is we want to inspire through education. And by inspire, just inspire some folks to change in whatever that may be. So we're going to talk about everything. We may talk about nothing. But at the same time, we're going to give you real, and we're just going to have a chat. So I've got my boys here. I got Brandon Watts over here, and I got my boy Carl Jackson. So Brandon, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
For sure. Pleasure to be here. Glad to hear my buddies here this morning. My name is Brandon Watts. I'm an 29-year-old this turning this year. Say I'm in the 30s now, almost. The young buck of the crew, but I can still hang with these guys. Glad to be here, and I promise, I'm going to give whatever insight from my point of view, real, honest, just like Eugene said. So let's get into it.
Carl Jackson. It's always kind of hard for me to introduce myself because it's like a lot of things. Basically, hardworking dude, husband, father, native Detroiter. All of those equal are part of my identity, I say. So, yeah, again, glad to be here. Pleasure to be on this podcast. I think a lot of good things are going to come from this, and excited to get going.
All right. Well, today's topic, we're going to talk about couples. So my question is, can men and women have friends, close friends of the opposite sex when they're in committed relationships? What I'll say is having the experience that I have, I can go either way. But I think I probably would lean more towards you can. I mean, you can have those relationships. But what I would like to know is coming from a younger generation. B, tell us how you feel.
So, I'm a guy, right? And I've got female friends, so I know the game and I played it. Then there's the best friend angle, and then there's the friend angle, and then there's the quote unquote best friend angle. So it's all perspective on it like that. I've got one close female friend. I'm not going to cross that line. We've been good friends for a long time, and, I wouldn't cross upon that. But you got another guy that says, okay, let me be a best friend for this reason. So down the line, when I see the door open, I'm going to crash through it. So it's all the perspective of it. Because like you said, Eugene, it can happen, but it's all the intent. So if it's good intentions behind it, I'm all for it. But if I can smell, if I'm in a committed relationship and this quote unquote best friend always wants to hear about the bad I'm doing and nothing else, that's not good to me. And I don't want that type of thing around. But if it's, your buddy you chat with, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, we catch up on the holidays and stuff, that's all good. If there's a brunch here and there, not a problem. But, if best friend's calling at 3 a.m., that's a whole nother can of worms. And, it happens. So you don't want that type of friend around. But I think it's the intentions that really show what kind of friend and what can come of that. So I would say if their heart's in the right place, go for it. But, if this is buddy one more than a best friend 6 months or 2 years later, you got to nip that in the bud soon.
So you're in a committed relationship now?
Yes, sir.
Me and Carl, we both happily married. As a matter of fact, real quick, Carl and I have been friends since 84.
Now you're really dating us.
See, there we go. Like a brother to me.
Really dating us.
And when we talk about being married, Carl been married 20
going on 28 years.
28 years. I've been married a couple times, but now I've found my soulmate, and we good to go. So, Brandon, with your girlfriend, how does she feel about you having a female friend of the opposite sex?
I think it's the same thing I look at with the intent, because she will joke and say, I know how some women are, and they know you got a good guy and they don't have nothing, or even a bad guy, they want in.
But is she joking?
Oh no, that's not a joke. Yeah. That's not a joke.
So, when they say it like that, ha, nothing, because
if I had real 6 or 7 female close friends, that probably would be a problem. But I don't have that, so I don't have that issue. But I think can't speak for her 100%, but I know if I had, Betty, Barbara, and all these women calling me, say, this is my friend, she's not going to like it. So,
I mean, I think it's something to be said. I found a study where it said that 66% of the men in the study at some point have had an intimate relationship with that close female friend
understandable.
versus the 44% of the females have had an intimate relationship with their close male friend. So the way I see it is it's almost 50-50. And, you know, I think we've all probably been in situations where somebody that we've been with had an issue with a friend.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and Carl, I mean, you can speak to it because, you know, we got some experience on this.
Yeah, I think a lot of those stats are kind of telling because I think a lot of those relationships have kind of morphed. They may start out as a friendship, then there may be some romantic or intimate interest, and then you kind of realize, okay, we might be best as friends. So you kind of just, you know, go into the friend role. I think that way you say when you're early on, just kind of in your life period or even in dating or not like married yet,
Yeah.
I think those relationships are easier to navigate because, you know, you say, okay, well, we were friends. We tried something. It's not going to work out, but we just remain friends.
Exactly.
Now you introduce a spouse, and depending on how that spouse is going to react, you know, they may say, okay, well, you've been friends for a long time. Has anything ever happened with y'all? Or, you know, they may ask that question. They may not. But if they do or they don't, you're still going to look at it like, okay, this is my friend. We've had this relationship. You know, a lot of times you don't want to be forthcoming and tell your spouse, yeah, we tried, but nothing really happened because then all of a sudden it's like that, like you said, they plant that seed in the back of their mind, like, okay, they're just waiting for something to happen with us so they can step in. I think that people are a little more mature than that. I try to give people a little more credit than that.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Because if you decided to be with one person that's in a committed relationship, then you're going to say, I'm with you. I'm not with them.
Got it.
But again, like you said as well, that other person has to respect those boundaries. So if you start going with somebody or you start, you know, moving toward, you know, being in a committed relationship and then this friend keeps popping up at 2-3 in the morning and they become really needy and then it's like, okay, there needs to be a conversation.
Now, see, I've been on both sides. So, for instance, was in a relationship and we ended up getting married. This was no, 2.
Okay. Okay.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell her about a close female friend that I had. So when she did find out, through happenstance, they ended up going to the same college and they had mutual friends. When she did find out, oh man, that was it. But because this was a good friend, I neglected to tell her from jump. Because it's like a situation where, you know, I think a lot of times we have to put ourselves in the other person's position. So if I say, you know, to my girlfriend, we're just talking, we're getting to know each other. And, you know, during those stages, you got diarrhea of the mouth. You telling everything,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, it's
and
all
you
out
might
there.
say, well, me and Susie, boom, bam, you know, back in the day, you know,
Yep.
she's my really good friend. But y'all just dating. Next thing you know, you want to put a ring on it. So guess what? Now you brought that issue into it. Because whereas before when she was your girlfriend, she was cool with it. Well, now she's about to be your wife.
Yeah.
So now sometimes people want to give ultimatums. But in that, you know, that instance with my number 2, she never got used to it. And, you know, when things did go south for us, that was just one of the problems that we had. So what I learned from that was the next serious relationship that I got into, I'm going to tell them up front, look, I've got a really good female friend.
Got it. Yeah.
And, you know, it helps because you hear it from the very beginning.
Transparency.
You know,
Yeah.
there's situations where if you're involved and, you know, your girlfriend, all of a sudden, you guys get engaged, B, and she started talking about Charlie, and y'all been together for 3 years. You ain't never heard Charlie's name before. That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a problem.
Red flag.
Exactly. And, you know, how do you address something like that if that were to happen?
Yeah. How do I address Charlie? So, you know, I'm an engineer, but I'm gonna turn into a detective for that. So I'm gonna need all I need to figure out on Charlie. And again, it's back to what I'm, my first, like I said earlier, what's the intent?
Mhm.
So I've been in a similar relationship situation like that before where there's a best friend. It's not in the picture now, but being transparent, I wasn't cool with it because I was like, this is my best friend. So who do you need another one for? So that's, another one of my things in the forefront. So if I come out the blue, say I'm engaged and Charlie, the best friend, wants to come over for dinner, I'm, detective mode. Who is Charlie? What's Charlie's intent? And if I can, get the download from her and if I can just piece together like, okay, Charlie's just a buddy from math class in high school. Cool. But if Charlie's the guy, oh yeah, every time it was a rough patch, me and Charlie went out for a drink or whatever, then it's like, okay, I don't know what Charlie's input in his game plan is with this. This his, oh, this is my last hurrah to, snatch it before Brandon locks it up?
Mhm.
Or is it, okay, let me see what this guy is and just, fall in place. So again, it's the intent. So I'm going to put it back on you guys now because you're a little more mature and experienced than me. What do you do if the intent is ill and they don't know it perchance? Because I think, when I was younger, I've been the ill intended, so I know what it's like, and I've been on the other side. So, what's you guys' perspective if Charlie has bad intentions where he wants to be more than the best friend, but at the time your spouse or whatever girlfriend is like, no, this is just Charlie, my buddy, but you can see it clear as mud. Charlie wants your spot, so give me your download on that, maybe.
Sound like Charlie might be the work husband. So go ahead.
So, and I was gonna kind of go there too. So a couple of things. One, I guess to directly answer the question, Eugene kind of put it out there. We're from a different era,
hmm
pre-social media, pre-political correctness.
Yeah,
We're gonna have a conversation with Charlie. Um, I don't know how that conversation would go. It's really gonna depend on Charlie.
understandable.
But I don't think that they're not gonna see each other anymore when it's all said and done. Now, again, gonna be on Charlie how that happens.
Exactly.
But the other part is when you mentioned work husband. I know that we're all professional people here. We all can attest to, and this is probably going in a little different direction, which I'm sure hopefully we'll get into it at another podcast. But the lack of black males in professional settings.
Yeah.
A lot of our adult friendships and relationships are spawned out of work.
Yep.
Because you're together with people a lot of times. You find people you have common interests with, and you may just bond with them.
Yeah,
at
you
work.
got 40 hours plus a week with them.
Exactly. For us as being black males, our next relatable people that we work with are going to be black females. So if it's not enough of us to bond, we're probably going to bond with a black female. And, it can become a work husband, work wife situation because, you kind of get to know their habits and that kind of thing. You have, you're going to have some conversation. They're going to get to know about your family background and vice versa.
Exactly.
The issue with that is that comes into play is, like you said, how much do I know? I'm not going to come and tell my work wife if me and my wife at home just had a fight.
Exactly.
And I don't need her to tell me if her and her significant other, boyfriend, husband, whoever, aren't getting along.
Fair.
Certain information we're not going to share with one another. We also, and it depends on how it is, you're going to meet that spouse eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to, come to my birthday
Christmas party
come
or
to
whatever.
something.
Yeah, something's going to
And
come up.
then those are conversations that you kind of have to fill out. I've been on both sides of it, I've been introduced to women's husbands, and they say, "This is Carl," and he's like, "Oh, you Carl," and I'm like, "Okay, you've been talking about me." It's like, but I try to be disarming right away and say, yeah, hey, how you doing? Heard a lot about you. Congratulations on your promotion. Kind of
Yeah.
make sure that it's all,
Man of the hour.
Right, right. Your wife is so funny. We have a good time.
Mhm.
Blah blah blah. Never would I be like, yeah, I'm Carl, because then
What's
it's
up, bro?
right. Then it's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
another
yeah. Then
conversation.
that's a whole different than
And then the same thing when my wife has been introduced to people, and I tell them, this is so and so. It's never been a situation where she's been like, who? I've mentioned this person.
There
I've
you
told
go,
them
yeah.
conversations we've had. So the same thing. They try to be this. They've been, and I'm gonna say try to be, because get me in trouble. They've kind of
Understood.
reciprocated, been the same way, been disarmed. Oh yeah, Carl's telling me a lot about you. Glad you
Gotcha.
overcome, so forth. So
You brought up an interesting point, Carl, about boundaries. So how do you set the boundaries? You got the work wife, the work sister,
Mhm.
because if you've been around someone for 40 hours plus a week for years,
Yeah.
you get to know that person. So let's say you have a argument with the spouse, you have an argument with the girlfriend, you come to work, you
Mhm.
upset.
Oh yeah.
First thing, hey, what's wrong with you?
Yep.
Because they're not used to seeing you that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. You come in good morning
So,
smiling now.
to your point, Carl, boundaries that need to be established. I think that's a very important. It's a very important thing that you want to do. Unfortunately, I think a lot of combating that has to come through experience. Because I've been on both sides. I've had 2, 3 husbands call me. Hey, what's your name, number doing? Whoa, hold on.
Oh boy.
So, early 2000s Gene is like, bruh, don't we not gonna go there because I don't feel like hurting your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And now, because quite honestly, it just happened. I think I may have mentioned it to you. Somebody's
A phone
husband
call.
called me,
Yeah.
Oh boy.
and I was at their wedding. So, I'm congratulating him and he's fine with it. And he tells me, yeah, I understand you're a good friend of hers. I just want you to know, I'm going to take care of her. And I'm thinking everything is fine. Shook his hand.
Appears to be.
Hell, I gave him more money than I ever gave at a week. Because them wedding, I ain't going to be giving a lot of money, but we cool. So, hey,
Pay for your plate.
And I was surprised when I got the call. But what I later found out was that she had divulged to him the extent of our relationship going back years.
Okay.
So some men can handle it, some can't. Some women can handle it, some can't. But I learned a very important lesson behind it is being open and honest up front and having that communication. Because my wife now, shout out, babe, Gabrielle, she understands. And
Awesome.
we developed our relationship from a place of honesty, from a place of friendship. We used to work together.
Okay.
And people thought that something was going on. You know how rumors are. They see y'all talking all the time. And we
lunch buddies.
Yeah. And I'm like, we getting coffee at the coffee station. So how are we going to do something in front of everybody? And we knew nothing was going on. But anyway, we were both married at the time. She split from her husband. I split from my wife. We didn't even think about going down that road, but we were still good friends. I think probably a year or so later, we actually started dating.
Okay.
But the point is, being open and honest up front, because you know how your girlfriend is. And whether or not she can take something remains to be seen. But the call that I got last year, he approached me in a respectful way. So I respectfully told him,
okay, that's good.
Look, she's already told you the extent of our relationship. I don't expect another phone call. And I battled with whether or not to tell her. And I did. And she was like, okay, I'll talk to him. But this was the second time this had happened with this person because her previous husband, he had an issue with it.
Oh, boy.
So, Carl, to your point earlier, I think that as you are friends with someone of the opposite sex, if that really is a true friend, once you get wifed up, once you get husbanded up, then they already know I'm gonna fall back.
Yep. And I think
I can be your friend from afar. We see each other when we see each other. Because one of the mistakes I think people make is when you do have a close friend of the opposite sex, sometimes we want our significant other to be friends with them like we are.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake.
Oh, yeah,
Because you don't want to force your
Yeah.
friend on somebody else.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know, B, if you've ever been down the road, Carl, I know you have, where our wives want to set us up with other husbands. And I tell my wife all the time, men, we recognize within the first 5 minutes of talking to another man whether or not we vibing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very awkward because I tell my wife all the time, I can't trust a man that don't like some sport. If you
Yeah.
can't talk to me about a sport, I don't care if it's
Mhm.
lacrosse.
Yeah.
If you can't, if we can't, that's just me.
No, I think we're all
No,
like that.
No,
Yeah.
I get it because and I'd say the same thing. It's not a play date. Don't set
Very
me,
good
don't
point.
set me
Very
up with a
good
play
point.
date, and because our wives or girlfriends, wives, whoever,
Partner,
our
yeah.
partners, they're not gonna like all of our male friends.
Yeah.
They can do something, and for us, and well, for me, I know all relationships for me are organic. There
Good
gonna be
point.
some things that are other people are not gonna like about this person.
Mhm.
And I had a female friend at work, a work friend. She unfortunately she passed away a few years ago,
Condolences.
but she was volatile, and everything pissed her off, littlest thing, and people were kind of, because she was so abrasive and volatile, a lot of people backed off. It amused me. And what I found out was that was kind of her defense mechanism.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes
So
sense.
when she saw that I don't really care, it's just, it's funny to me. And we sat really in close proximity to each other. So every day we would have conversations, same thing, learn some background. That she was actually dating somebody that I knew from back in the day. And so we kind of, formed a bond. Real cool person. Once you got past that gruff exterior, that's not somebody my wife is going to vibe with. But I think she also would know that's not somebody I would vibe with in a relationship situation. So you ain't got to worry about us doing nothing.
Yeah, no issues.
Because, our relation, we talked about music, we talked about societal issues, just kind of superficial stuff, so
Yeah.
to speak. But it was always
Surface
light,
level.
humor. And she met my wife, she was cool with it and everything. But it's like sometimes you have to realize we ain't got to worry about this person
Mhm.
anyway. And I think that men and women can do that. My wife, I know she has some male friends. And I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But none of them, they're not going out like, oh, we about to go out to dinner and hang out and this, that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the same with me.
Yep,
I'm
exactly.
not going, those phone call here or there, yes, maybe. Invite to a particular event, but it's a couple, both of y'all come, that
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
But it is all about boundaries, I think.
Yeah.
And like you said too, establishing early on in the relationship, this is what it is. Being open and honest up front.
So if your partner isn't willing to accept the friendship that you have with the member of the opposite sex, if you got a female friend, y'all been friends since junior high school.
Yeah, and guess what? I have that exact situation in my life. So I have a best friend. We just texted the other day. So I know best friends since high school, and I want to say college years and early 20s. We were both single and had time. We hung out a lot, family get-togethers or catch up, lunch, brunch, whatever. But, based on my life, I'm busy as is. So once I got with my girlfriend, hopefully soon to be fiance, that took up the time I had. And then there was a dynamic that I did have my best friend. And, you feel bad. You don't want to abandon your buddy. So there was times like, man, we would hang out like at least once a month or, bi-weekly or something. And then now I got girlfriend. It's like, it's tough to do. And when they met, my girlfriend was the dynamic that I could read was, yeah, this isn't, I can't make this play date happen. So I think I had to sit down with myself and I had to think, what am I going to do, Because at the end of the day, like I was saying earlier, my partner is my best friend, and I don't want to disdain my, previous best friend because, there's 10 years of friendship there. So, I definitely have to, kind of rebalance things. That's the way I look at it. So just like I was saying earlier, holidays, you know, I'm always happy birthday, Merry Christmas. So, you know, I'm still alive. Are you still alive? So, you know, checking in with the best friend, well, you know, friend at that point, but I had to do some retuning to, you know, keep my relationship in good place and not completely abandon said best friend, but it was a tweak, it was an adjustment. And, you know, I think for my situation, it worked out the best because I don't think my girlfriend would be comfortable. Me and my best friend are going out for drinks Friday night, you know. Yeah, I had to pick my spots on that. So
And it's interesting that you say that because I've got some points, things that you don't do.
mhm.
And one of them is not prioritizing your friendship with that opposite sex friend above your significant
Yeah.
others.
Yep. You gotta
And I
balance
think
it.
too, you know, having been in situations like that where maybe your girlfriend or wife didn't like your friend, I like to, and I tell my wife this all the time that, you know, if she has an issue with something, that's her issue. But when it
Agreed.
comes to stuff like this, you know, and this is only due to the fact that, you know, I've had a bunch of relationship experiences. I've
Mhm.
gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, we can be friends, but this is my wife,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, and Carl, the friend I was talking about, the wedding last year, for years we would tell people, we're best friends, we're best friends. Well, I made it a point, you know, in terms of making her husband feel comfortable at their wedding, at the reception. I
Mhm.
say, look, she's your best friend now. She's not my best
Yep.
friend because you guys are together,
Mhm.
you know. And I would never tell anybody that my female good friend is my best friend. No, my wife is my best friend.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we vibe on everything, but that's part of being in a relationship. You
Mhm.
know, we grow. And I like to think that even coming from the other perspective, because there are some females out there that have male friends that they don't want to let go of. And if their significant other has an issue with it, then they just like, you got an issue with it. You know, to me,
Yeah.
that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because it's not saying you got to pick this guy over, but I think that as we grow, then you come to realize what's important.
Mhm.
You know, when you're younger, yeah, you're going to stick to your guns. No offense, B, but, you
None
know,
taken.
you're
None taken.
going to stick to your gun. Look, this is my friend. You don't like it? And especially if you're dating somebody, because, you
Yeah.
know, back in the 90s, that's my decade of debauchery. But hey, I ain't care.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Time and
I
place.
left my feelings at home under the bed.
Mhm.
So I think that as we grow, it's very important to understand if you're going to be in a relationship, then you upfront, you be open, you be honest. You know,
Yes.
because I tell my youngest son this all the time. You know, the one piece of advice that I've given him about dealing with women is you come to the table and you be honest.
Exactly.
They will respect you like you won't believe. Because if you're telling them up front, this is how it is, I'm not looking for a relationship, I just want to date. Okay, fine. So if they accept it and they make themselves a part of that equation, then guess what? You chose this.
Exactly.
But in a situation where you've got, you know, a friend, a close friend on the opposite sex, while it's not your job to make your significant other happy or to keep them happy in that respect,
Mhm.
it's important to say, okay, which one do I really want to be? Do I want to be good friends forever or married for a couple of years? Because at some point, your wife is going to be like, I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, me, from a husband's perspective, I would like to think that any good friend that my wife had, I know about them.
Absolutely.
Because if I don't, yeah, then the conversation is going to have to take place.
Mhm.
You know, so I think that, you know, starting off, and you guys, hopefully, Brandon, you guys will get married. Honesty is, in my opinion, that's the best place you can start. And for anybody out there that is in the situation where you guys have a friend of the opposite sex and you want to choose that friend over your significant other, really think about it. Because if you're feeling that way, then it's kind of telling that that's not the person that you really want to be with. So I know, Carl, we've had, you know, talks over the years, and I think we both seen each other through some stuff. You know, I think that it's important for us as men in our 50s to impart as much wisdom as we can on these brothers that you know, that are coming up, because, you know, as we were saying earlier before we started, you know, it's a different time now.
Mhm.
And I think even by us sitting here and having this conversation, you know, it's important. And if we can just get one person, Brandon, I know we were talking about this earlier, we can get one person to change their line of thinking with this. At the end of the day, in my opinion, it's not worth it. I'm not going to choose somebody of the opposite sex just because that's my friend.
Yeah.
If you're in a committed relationship, whether you are Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, or whatever the case may be, your spouse is your ride or die. Your
Principles are
significant other is your
principles.
ride or die. So I would like to think that, we can all continue, down that path of open, honest communication. So
For sure.
So let me ask you guys, because down the road someone's gonna be listening and they might be in this situation, and I haven't experienced it myself, but playing devil's advocate, like we said, we might do that earlier. But what if you're that guy or a female? I know we're men, so I'll just go for the guys. You're dating somebody, and there is said best friend, and then that dynamic is, can you have your cake and eat it? Can like I'm saying, my girlfriend, fiance, wife is my best friend, and then there's Jared over here. That's my 100% best friend I talk to every day too. And then it's kind of getting to that point. Can you truly have both that are that deeply and connected? Because I think somebody's probably out there dealing with that, and they're feeling like you got to pick him or me. You can have your best buddy, or you can have your boyfriend at the time. What do you guys think on that? Because I know I've heard of it, and it's a dicey situation. It seems pretty difficult to navigate, so I want to dig in on that.
I think that there needs to be some emotional maturity in that situation. If you're in a committed relationship and you have a opposite sex best friend, and you kind of brought it up earlier, you're not abandoning that person. You're not putting that person away because you're in a relationship. You just don't have as much time for that person.
Yeah.
You don't have the capacity to for that person to pour into you
And
like
vice
they
versa,
used to.
yeah.
And then I kind of wanted to bring what Eugene was saying about being older. That's one of the things I thought about. As you get older, your problems, your issues, your circumstances in life, they all change.
Oh, yeah.
I can go out with Eugene and have a conversation. I can come home, my wife says, "Oh, how was everything? Is he okay?" "Oh, he's good. Everything's good." Now, I'm not going to discuss what we talked about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not, it's just, I'm not going to do
It's
that.
all good. Yeah.
But, we've gone over serious issues and, what have you. But that's just, and she's not going to dig any deeper.
Good. Yeah. Got it.
Now, if I had a female best friend and we, what was going on? Oh, nothing. What do you mean nothing?
Yeah.
Why she call you at, say
Yep,
y'all got to go
yep,
out. And it's
yep,
time,
yeah.
it's going to be more of a, I need to know what was talked about type of thing. And then I'll have to do the same thing with that particular female. Hey man, hey, let's go out. I got some stuff on my mind. What's up? We might as well talk about it right now. Because
Yeah,
I
shoot me
can't,
a
I'm not
text.
gonna, right. We're not gonna go out and have this big discussion. Shoot me a text. Yeah, texting is, we
Cool.
can, and I love it because I can watch TV and have a whole conversation at the same time. So those are, again, that person is going to have to understand. And they're going to have some emotional maturity to understand there's more, and both sides. I can't just say, well, I got to go. She needs me. That's going to cause some issues.
Yep. Yeah,
come
I'm
back
scared
and
to
the
say
locks
that.
be
Right.
changed.
It's like, but if it's a guy, and
Oh,
this has
yeah.
happened to me before, I've had, a friend of mine called me and was like, "Hey, bruh, I need something right now." And I've left the house. I told her, told my wife, this person called me, I got to go. What's going on? I'll talk to you when I get back.
Yep.
That's not going to be an issue.
Oh, yeah.
If it was Susie,
Different story.
hey, I got to go. Well, I'm coming with you.
Or you're not going. So.
Or you're not, right. One of the two.
Yep.
So, but on both sides, I just think that, and again, I think we've lost a lot of emotional maturity going forward. People are trying to make everything easy, and we don't want no hassles. Conversations up front, setting boundaries can alleviate a lot of problems down the road.
Agreed, definitely.
I mean, it's hard, but it's necessary. And in the long run, it works out for the better.
Yeah.
So be with you being in the age bracket that you're in, how long were you in that situation, in that mind frame of I can be the best friend with benefits if I need to be.
That was that was high school time when I did that. I had a best friend in high school, so I played the game, I thought I could date a girl and have the female best friend, and back then I'm like, this is the best of both worlds, this is cool. And they knew about each other, but they didn't see each other. One was different school, one was like out of town and then out of town, and it's a dangerous game. Definitely, because there's feelings involved, there's the emotional maturity, and then there's me having my cake and wanting to eat it too. So I wouldn't recommend it. Don't do it now. I'm much older. I would never do this again. But it's like having two girlfriends or something. Whatever. And
You say
it's
you much older, but it's cats that still do that into their 30s.
that's
and
why I
40s.
threw in the. That's why I said don't do it now.
You're a young one. You're
Yeah.
there. You're there. That's
So
good.
I've done it, and yeah, it's fun. Whatever. You can see her Tuesday, talk to her, all that. So you're always occupied. But I would say at my point, I'm glad I did. I started developing like a conscience, and then it's like I can't do this. So eventually, of course, I was eating my cake for a while, but my conscience kicked in, and I said, okay, I got to pick something, and then. I ended up unfortunately having to pick one of the two, and it was an ugly thing because it's like, what the heck? You're dating me, and now you're going for your best friend. And that's another thing why I kind of caution on that dynamic, because when I sit back and think about it, yeah, I like that best friend the whole time, but nobody ever, intertwined into it until it became a triangle when I started looking elsewhere. And maybe she was like, hold on, you're not taking my best friend from me. And then it just went, she got aggressive, made the move and said, no, I'm not losing my best friend. And then I just was like, well, okay, I got to pick one. So, like you said, people are still doing it now. Don't do that. I was 18-year-old or something. Don't even do that then. But
Man,
you want to have your cake and eat it, I think. And you have to have the maturity to realize that's not how life works. Because if you want to be down the road, like I want to be married one day, I don't, I want my one best friend. Like I look at it, like my girlfriend is my best friend. So, I got what I need there. So I don't need to shop around. I'm not saying, forget my old best friend, but, we're still cool. If something happens, I'm here for you there and there. But I think it's like you're saying, that emotional maturity and just maturity in general, you have to be mature enough to say, 1-to-1, this is my best friend. And if your partner, wife isn't your best friend, you need to reevaluate that whole shebang there and go back to the drawing board. So
now see, I have a friend that told me her husband, it might be her ex-husband, I'm sorry, he told her that men couldn't have opposite sex friends and be in a committed relationship. He said that the reason you can't do that is because if women are friends with men, then the man is only looking to get in. That's the only reason he's friends.
yeah,
with
that's
her.
why I said that intent is.
But I mean, I can't agree with that because, and I guess,
Yeah.
even back in the day, I wasn't trying. I mean, if something happened, Carl, to your point, being organic, if something happened, it just happened. I wasn't sitting back plotting and
Yeah,
scheming
exactly.
and all this other stuff. So, but the one thing that is challenging to me, man, is putting myself in my wife's position and how she would feel, because, as men, we don't think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I tell you
yeah.
what, let somebody call her, and I ain't never heard of this brother, and she talking and laughing and giggling. Oh no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we gonna have a conversation.
Yep.
And granted, I would never be that disrespectful to have, a friend call me and, looking at my wife like, okay, why don't you go to the other room because I got to take this call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And she ain't cut like that anyway. So,
Yeah.
But I think, growing in a relationship, it's all about what you want. If you want to be out there and play, fellas, go out there and play.
Yeah.
But don't be deceitful, behind the scenes. What's the new one or the one we dealt with? Oh, this my play cousin.
Bruh. When people start coming up with my play cousin and my play brother, no, we not going. What's the song? Who is he and what is he to you?
Play cousin. I haven't heard that in a while.
I need to know that right now because I think a lot of that too is it is a cat that's, and I said this to somebody the other day. When people try to sexualize everything, like my man was saying, like, man is trying to plot.
Mm-hmm.
It's really on the woman. Because he may be trying to plot.
Mhm.
But women, and we know women do this all the time. You're a guy, you like a female.
Mhm.
Okay, I like you. She's the one that's gonna say, "Well, we just friends. I don't really
Yep.
like you like that."
Yeah.
The cat might still be there. He might still try. Okay, well, we gonna hang around. I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
stay close. But if she really doesn't like him like that,
Yeah.
nothing's
As
gonna
far
happen.
as you're gonna get.
That's as far as you're gonna get. I think that what happens is when you get it, when she gets in a committed relationship and she introduces you or introduces her significant other to that guy,
Mm-hmm.
we got a vibe. Men have a vibe.
Yeah,
We gonna
yeah.
understand. We gonna
Yeah.
say, unless you're, really, really good at what you're doing, which is kind of sick. That's another thing.
Far
But-
and few too.
right.
So
But we're gonna pick up a vibe right
Mhm.
away. And like
Yeah.
you said, phone calls at different times. You want to have private conversations. Those are things that you kind of like.
yeah,
okay,
you'll add it up.
you adds up real quickly.
Mhm.
So again, we just have to be, and I don't want to be like you hyper vigilant every time.
Yeah, you just gotta have
you know,
decent
But just have
discernment.
decent. There you go. It's
Yeah.
all about having discernment. And I think that if you are in a committed relationship headed toward a long-term commitment, you've got to have that respect. Everybody has to have that level
Yeah,
of respect
exactly.
with one another. Stop playing games.
Hmm.
Like you said, you want to play, but we've done that already.
Yeah, had your fun. Be
Yeah, and don't be the old dude in the club.
yeah, yep,
You know.
yeah, exactly. But you got people that wanna.
or a woman, because I've seen, yeah,
Cougars out there.
it's
so.
it's some yeah.
Well,
Still on
I
the hunt.
think too that what we have to remember is that when you're dealing with the opposite sex, there are certain things that you just don't do.
Exactly.
For instance, women are very intuitive.
yes.
So
yes.
if you got a play friend or you got a good friend of the opposite sex, as soon as they see you guys together, they already know.
Mhm.
I had an instance years ago where young lady I dated, hadn't seen her in a minute. She's walking into the restaurant with her date. I'm walking out of the restaurant with my date. And I see her, hey, how you doing? And keep walking. And as soon as we got to the car, she say, you used to date her, didn't you? And I'm saying to myself, how you know?
Women's
Of course,
intuition.
wait a minute.
Your eyes tell.
Right. So, of course, I did what we do. I lied,
Mm.
but it didn't matter. 'Cause
Yeah.
she could see straight through it. So, again, I just want to make sure that, people know you got to be honest.
Yep.
And if you had that funny feeling, if you on the fence and you waffling about whether you want your good friend or your significant other, then that tells you right there, this is not the
Right.
person that you want to be with.
Yep. And as men, women's intuition is real, and we can't lie, fight, or hide from it. They're all FBI agents. How I look at it.
Yeah,
They'll find it. They will
and
find it.
We don't have it. It's got to slap
Yeah.
us in the face.
Exactly. We find out on the back end.
It's
Then you start thinking, I remember you saw such and such. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say, at the end of the day, people, we here to help in whatever way we can do. So when it comes to relationships, when it comes to having a good friend of the opposite sex and you're in a committed relationship, you've got to decide what you truly want. You're the only person that knows that. You got to be open. You got to have honest communication with your significant other. And you have to decide which one is the most important relationship for you. So I say again, myself, Brandon Watts, Carl Jackson, we will see you guys next time. We thank you for being with us. And name of the podcast is See, Here's the Thing. Thanks a lot.